Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual JForex, we are going to consider and use the simple moving average, which I introduced in the last session. We will be building on that. We will see how we can design and develop an algorithm using simple moving average in a simple way using the Visual JForex. So let us now head to the JForex platform first, where we had plotted this SMA. And also, I had explained to you some shortcomings in the working of the SMA. For that, we had put in place these min max to get the range to see how much the underlying instrument moving in the given time frame. So this is the min max indicator. It simply gets the highest and the lowest value over the given period. This indicator is going to be helpful and complementary while our focus is going to remain on working with the SMA. This trade position which you are seeing open was opened by the this algorithm which is running for last 8 days. It was developed using stochastic in the last week, and since then it is running. There has been a little bit of profit because its lot size is very low. Some of the trades have closed in profit while somehow ended up in loss. We have seen that this algorithm is performing as per our anticipation. So on similar lines, we will be developing a new algorithm. This time around, we will put in use the simple moving average. As I have already explained to you some advantages as well as some disadvantages of working with the SMA. I will not dwell too much on that. We will straight away get to the task of building the algorithm. For that, let me launch the Visual JForex platform. The SMA is easy to understand, easy to use. It simply measures the average price which is moving because in a dynamic environment where the price of the underlying instrument keeps changing with each passing period, we will see that its average price is also going to shift, and we will have this average price plotted on the given time frame. Then we will get a moving average line. So that is the whole of the underlying logic. Alright, so here we are now getting started with our strategy builder. First thing first, we will have to see where is this indicator. Here it is SMA. We are going to need a couple of these because we are going to do the comparison. We will get these logical blocks as per the need. For simple comparison, we are going to need two of these at the minimum. So let me add these two first. Now let me get back to the JForex to explain to you the kind of formation which will be needed for the execution of the trade, as we have to take into account a couple of considerations, the advantages and the disadvantages of working with the SMA needs to be kept in mind, and it needs to be factored in while designing the system as well. The advantage of the SMA is that it is going to be helpful in determining the trend whether it is bullish, bearish. But the disadvantage is that in the scenario where the underlying instrument is simply in a consolidation phase, it is not moving much. In that kind of environment, the SMA is not really going to be helpful in defining any clear-cut trajectory. And we also have to see what is the kind of average movement which we are seeing in the given candle period. So for that, what we can do is instead of using a single SMA, we can use two SMAs, one of the highest value for the given candles and one of the lowest value for the given candle. So let me edit this, edit the indicator. Instead of calculating the moving average price of the close price, I will opt for the high price. Output, we will change it a bit. Alright, now this is the moving average price of the SMA of high price. I'm changing this time period to 24 to get the moving average price of the last 24 hours, that is for one single day. Now I'm going to add another SMA. This is also needs to be edited instead of high price. Now I'm going to plot it for the lowest price, low price. Output, we will opt for a different color so that we can easily distinguish between these two SMAs. Here you see that there is a difference between these two SMAs. The trajectory is more or less on similar footing. You will see sometimes these difference between the two SMAs is much more, while at other times the difference is fairly narrow. It happens because if the underlying instrument is moving in a volatile manner, then you will have the difference between these two SMA widening. But if the market is in a very narrow range, if the market is seeing much subdued price action, in that scenario, there will be narrowing of the difference between these two SMAs, and that is how this plotting is showing up. Here there is narrow difference, whereas in other instances we have this higher difference. Trajectory of the SMA is not going to be very different. It is going to be on the similar footing. Here there was declining, then it flattened, and now of late it is starting to climb. If you go back here, in the last week of August, it started to decline. It continued in that fashion for last couple of sessions. After finding some buying on the lower levels, it has again resumed rising, and it looks like that we will do well to keep looking for the opportunities to go long. So that is one possibility. Now I want to ensure that we are not really losing too much money. There are too many false signals generated when the underlying instrument is moving in a sideways manner. So for that, we can consider the range, the difference between these two SMAs, and then use it for defining the entries and exits for any trade which we are going to take. What we can do is we will ensure that the underlying instrument is working the way we desire it to, and not generate too many false signals. If there is lack of trend in the market, we will need to calculate the difference between these two SMAs and Another important thing is that whenever we want to execute a buy trade, we should be doing it at the average price or the price below the average price of the low price. And if you are executing the sell trade, then it should happen at or above the moving average price, the SMA of the high price. So in that way, we will be working with this positive difference between these two trade execution points. For the sell, we are adopting a sell on rally approach, and for the buy, we are adopting a buy on dips approach. And in this, we are relying on the highest price and the lowest price respectively. So that will to some extent ensure that whenever the trade execution happen, even if the underlying instrument is simply sideways, we will have this advantage. And instead of losing too much money, we might even be able to make some money by simply playing the range. So that is the full factor. Now for trend, we can keep things simple. If the SMAs are rising over the given period, we will consider it bullish. If the SMAs are declining over the given period, we will consider it bearish. And for sideways formation, I have already explained to you that the trade execution will take place above the average high of the high value, and buy trade will take place at or below the average price, the SMA of the low price. And then to add the difference between the minimum and the maximum value, we can also consider the min max, which will also give us a good idea of how things are shaping up in the price volatility of the underlying instrument. If there is enlargement of the difference between the min max value, that means the volatility is on the rise. If the underlying instrument is seeing subdued price action, then the range, then the difference between the min max value will decline. And I have already explained to you that it is better to trade in the trending environment instead of trading in the sideways manner. So what we can do, we can always consider the difference between the maximum and the minimum and compare it with the prior periods difference of the maximum and the minimum, and trade only when the difference is on the rise. It is getting higher, it is getting larger. So that is also the utility of the minimax formation. So I have given you the broad line of the logic which we are going to put in work for the execution of the trades using these SMA formation. For the trend, we want SMAs to be on the rise for the buy trade and SMAs to be in decline for the sell trade. Then the trade execution has to happen below the lowest low, lowest low average price for the buy trade, and for the sell trade, the execution has to happen above the SMA of the highest price. And one more condition is going to be that the difference between the min max should be larger in comparison to the difference between min max a given period back. Maybe 24 hours is going to be a good enough difference. You can keep another difference as well. So these three are going to be our key conditions for the execution of the trade. And using this formation, we will try to build a build an algorithm which is going to be generating the trades which we want to be having higher probability of profit than losses. So for this comparative analysis, we are going to need four of the SMA blocks. Okay. Here we have these four of the SMA blocks. Then we are going to rely on mathematical indicator of the min-max. Here we will need two of these because we are also doing comparison of the min-max. We also want to ensure that there is only single trade execution happening whenever the situation turns favorable. For that, we are going to need logical blocks and if-else statements. Where we will opt for on candle as our start point so that only when new candle takes shape, the trade execution will go through. Now I will change the candle period of the SMA blocks and min-max blocks. We are working with hourly time frame. So this needs to be changed. Min-max also. Alright. Now we want to ensure that there is no existing trade on the account. So for that we need all position amount to be equal to 0. Then we are going to look at the default instrument, which needs to be Euro USD. Alright, so we have these indicator and logical blocks in place to get us started. So these are the required blocks which we needed to put in place first, and then after studying the conditions we can think about the ways in which to apply the logical sequence. Our default instrument is Euro USD, our calendar period is hourly. So far so good, and we have these two logical blocks if else statements to ensure that we go for a single trade opening whenever the situation turns favorable and the underlying instrument for which the trade is going to be taken is Euro USD. So here we will stop for the day. we have brought in these indicator blocks, we have brought in these logical blocks, and now in the current session we will be stopping here because I feel to define the conditions which need to be put in place, which need to be there for the execution of the trade, it will take time, and that we need it to be explained in detail. So we can't really hurry it up. We will have to give it time, and in next session I will explain to you the logical conditions for the execution of the short sell and for the buy trade. So now it's time for me to sign off for the day. Thank you all for joining in. I'll be back very soon with the next session on these SMA indicator, and there we will build the algorithm using the Visual JForex platform for the execution of the trades which will have a probability of making money. So thank you all for joining in. See you next time around. Till then, goodbye.